Check out Ty Herndon's new album, Jacob, streaming everywhere now.
Hey guys, I'm Ty Herndon, and this is Soundboard, my podcast in partnership with Pivotal Moments Media. We invite you to listen in as we talk with my fellow artists about how they turn down the negative voices and turn up the positive ones in order to achieve their dreams and live healthy, happy, mentally fit lives. Welcome to the conversation.
I can't believe that I'm sitting here with the amazing Crystal Lewis, who is now my dear friend.
Yes.
And we've sung a couple of duets together, but I want to spend a little time talking about your journey to where you are today. And this is a show about turning up the positive voices and turning down the negative voices. And I just can't wait to have a few teaching moments, because I know you're going to teach us all.
Oh gosh, maybe
a few things
on accident.
I want to go all the way back to Beyond the Charade.
Okay.
Your first album. Were you living in Nashville?
No, I've actually never lived in Nashville.
See, I did not know that.
Yeah, the longest period of time I ever spent here was maybe 2 or 3 months. And that was as a home base kind of while I was on tour. And so because everybody else that was on the tour lived here.
But you made your records here.
No,
right?
I've never made a record here.
You didn't make it here?
I've never made a record in Nashville.
Oh, this is sweet. I love all this.
Only in California.
Oh my gosh. So you're doomed to make a record in Nashville, right?
Oh, I don't know. I think I've got a pretty good track record so far. I don't know if I should change that.
I don't think you should either. I don't think it'd be great for all of us people who live in Nashville. So we get to. I started saying so we get to sing on it, but I've gotten to sing on.
I know.
So many of us. Which okay.
I love it.
So I'm going to try not to talk too much because I have so many questions. But so you make your first album.
Yes.
Were you scared?
Yes, and I was really young. I was 17. And I had actually recorded one album prior to that, but it wasn't a solo record. It was with a rockabilly band in Southern California. And that I made when I had barely turned 16 when I was a part of that band called Wild Blue Yonder.
I love
that. And our band was only together for like 2 years or something. And we had signed with this record label in Orange County, California, and they asked me to move forward and, make a solo album. And I had the proverbial response that I had seen in all the rock and roll movies, which was not without my band. I was so afraid of being the solo artist and not having the support of a band. And what that translated to was I was just scared of being in charge, scared of being in control. I had deferred already, and I'm only 16 years old, and I'd already learned how to defer to everybody else's decisions. So I hadn't yet learned how to be confident and in control of my own creative, decisions.
Fear can be such an enemy. I mean,
oh yeah,
it can be so crazy. When you just said have that security blanket of your band.
Yeah.
This sometimes on stage, that microphone standing in front of you can be as big as a mountain, as something to hold on to. Do you have stage fright?
Not normally.
Okay, that's good.
It comes and goes, but I don't know that I would call it stage fright. I think normally it's just like real heavy adrenaline.
Yeah.
But often it's never kept me from doing my job. It has kept me, or not kept me. It has. I've walked off stage and felt like I could have done better a lot.
I'm gonna move forward a little bit, and we're gonna come back to the 16-year-old because I want to talk to her as well. So I'm gonna move all the way up to Beauty for Ashes.
Okay.
And we're gonna come back and talk to the 16-year-old because I want to talk to her too.
I like it.
So this album was very pivotal.
Yes.
It was a huge album, and running around here in Nashville, so many big stars of music know you.
That's weird.
They know you from probably as far back as Beyond the Charade. But how does that feel when you get all these famous friends that look up to you as kind of the queen?
It's very strange. And I will say it took me a long time to step into that role willingly and gracefully, because for a number of reasons. I think for one thing, again, I just grew up with a lot of fear. and in a lot of different, it played out in a lot of different ways. So there was a lack of confidence, that kind of a fear where, oh, I don't know that I'm worthy of being in this space. And so as I've gotten older and as I have embraced that, this idea, this fact that I've been around for a while, and
I know the feeling.
and my songs have been out there, and there are people that I had no idea that were listening to them, and now those people have come to me, people younger than me, people older than me, and said as much. And I have just grown and been through enough things to get to the point of being able to accept that and say, you're welcome, instead of, oh, it's not,
That like a compliment thing is
yeah, just to say,
sometimes.
Yeah, I did that, and I did that well, and I'm really proud of it, and I'm grateful, so grateful.
You said a word that I think a lot of artists say a lot, fear. For you, what was the biggest thing that filled you with fear from the beginning to now?
Ooh, Ty, I'm not prepared for this heaviness. I don't totally know. I think it's something that, having grown up in a super conservative, religious household, is something that is intentionally instilled, and I think
Such a great answer.
that stuck with me. Like,
Yes.
don't stay small. Don't take up much space. Just be in this box, because if you try and do anything outside of this box, for me, meaning Christian music, then that's not pleasing or allowed.
Yes.
And so that instills fear. Like, oh my gosh, I've got these creative urges to create and write and do other things other than what I've been doing in my whole life, but I can't do that. I better not do that, because I'll get in trouble, or I'll be, reprimanded, or go to hell, or to experience like these extreme consequences.
Those were loud negative voices.
For sure.
That you were hearing.
Yes.
So you answered that beautifully, by the way.
Thank you.
I think that is something that all of us feel, not even as artists, in our everyday lives. Those negative voices that get so loud that we sometimes lose our way.
Yes.
Because we're only listening to them. What kind of positive voices did you start hearing that kind of changed things for you and took you to where you are today?
My voice.
Nice.
That's what I heard. And I would have to...
I'm speaking to that.
It'd be hard to, I'd have to go back a little bit and pinpoint, where did I first hear me? And allow that voice to come through. And it probably, honestly, wasn't that long ago. That's yes and no. I would say I heard it a long time ago.
Yeah.
But because I was conditioned to let other people speak for me, and defer to my dad, my husband, record executives, producers, like other people who clearly knew more than me, and I am joking, that I kept my voice. I told her just like that. I must be. Yeah, I'm probably not right. I'm probably not smart enough to know that. I'm probably not. I probably don't know enough as they do, or whatever. And so, I don't know if after a few years, many years of doing that and living like that, and then coming up with a handful of musical ideas that happened to take off and happened to get some, I don't want to say recognition by any stretch, because I don't mean that in the grand sense, but I would say by other artists that I respected, several of whom are on this new record of mine, by the way. And one of the reasons that I chose the people that I chose for this record is because they spoke into my life so beautifully, so deeply, so importantly. But when I received positive feedback from other people, it opened up my voice. It gave my own voice permission to, to speak, I guess.
You built a room for her.
Yeah.
That she felt safe.
Yeah.
It was a sacred, beautiful room that she could speak.
Yeah.
And that's where the positive voices probably live. And you're not afraid to open that door and let those positive voices be heard.
No.
Do you look in the mirror today and love the person that needed to grow, perhaps, And when you look in the mirror today, do you see the change in yourself?
Yes, vividly. I mean, there's days where there's this one Instagram meme that says, my face, you know, when you open your phone and you have like the face, what's that called? The Face ID or
The
whatever.
Face ID, yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't recognize you.
Right?
And so I saw this meme that said, of course we're not going to recognize a puffy-faced, one-eyed person in the morning because that's what you look like in the morning. So sometimes I don't recognize her. And sometimes I look in the mirror and think, we could do so much better. And then other times I think, we're okay. We're where we're supposed to be, and I forgive you.
Right,
for
I forgive
being
you. That's a big thing, man.
where you were, and you know.
I have teaching moments almost every day, and I look back on my own story, and I look in the mirror, and I think about pivotal moments that have changed the game for me, and it's work that only I could do. Mm-hmm. Wake up calls for yourself. I know you've had quite the journey. Can you maybe speak into a few pivotal moments that have happened to you?
Definitely. I would say that, it takes all of those pivotal moments to continue to move forward, to gain momentum, for sure. But initially, before you've allowed yourself to really experience them, because it's so scary, I think you would, because of fear, again, would shy away from even allowing myself to walk into a pivotal moment. Not that you always see it ahead of time. Sometimes you just find yourself there. Right. I would say the few, especially most recently, was for me having been married 28 years and then getting divorced in my late 40s.
Right.
Was huge, terrifying, unexpected, I want to almost say unintentional, but it wasn't an accident either. I mean, it was on purpose, but hugely pivotal for me emotionally, from a faith perspective of having had modeled for me something very different than that. And that was what was expected of me. And I, broke all the rules doing that.
Made your own rules.
Yeah. But because of that, I had to learn how to do all these other things, become an independent artist, learn about distribution and publishing and producing and creating projects by myself and not entirely by myself, of course. You always have help from producers and musicians and whatever, but all the decisions fell to me all of a sudden. And I had spent my life letting other people make decisions for me. So that one pivotal moment of choosing to go venture out on my own, just created this whole snowball domino effect of all these other pivotal moments of like, oh my gosh, it's do or die. I have to figure this out, or else, You're
wearing your pivotal moment stilettos now.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are.
And they're oddly comfortable.
I want a pair. I want some stilettos. I'm in my boots today. Pivotal moment boots.
I'm in my creepers today.
I love it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Hey, so I love that. I love that you were so successful in building your own town. You walked out of something that you respected, but it wasn't working for you anymore. And I love to say we have the opportunity to maybe burn down the shacks we don't really want anymore, but recognize the ashes.
Yeah.
But then from those ashes rises the phoenix that we build a new town.
Right.
And, my town has a jail. This is a jail. You get 2 shots after the jail. You got to get out of town. So do you have people in your jail right now? Or situations in your jail?
Yeah, probably.
People, places, things.
Yeah.
All right. I won't ask you who they are or what they are. But, I love this because I'm really careful what's in the brick and mortar of my town and what gets to be in that, because it's really, we're talking about the house that built me. Mm-hmm. And some of those foundations are really old and solid, but they have to be broken up sometimes to rebuild on them. And I feel like you have torn up some foundations that weren't working for you.
Yes. I went to Paris less than a month after I separated back in 2016. and I went with a couple of girlfriends. It was a last minute trip. I had some miles in my, flight account and was able to make it possible for me to go. And I remember walking around Paris, and there were these buildings that were, I don't know, how old are buildings in France? Like thousands of years old,
Billions.
hundreds of years old,
Billions,
whatever.
yeah.
So I remember walking through, and I saw some buildings that were so beautiful, so old, just like so extraordinary, but kind of dilapidated.
Yes.
And they were in varying process as far as being rebuilt or being remodeled or whatever. And then I saw some buildings that had just been torn down.
Yeah.
And it was such an interesting teaching moment for me to feel like, okay, sometimes you can repair something that's old and had potential and was beautiful and crumbled and kind of fell apart. So do you go in and you just remodel it and you try and kind of reframe and fix? Or is it just the best thing for everybody to tear it down and start fresh? Sometimes that's the better call, the better option. So,
What
I started over.
I love what you
in
just
every
said.
way.
So I love to ask this question because I kind of listen to the whisper and follow the breadcrumbs. I've learned to meditate and just kind of get come home to me in this town that we built. Was there a whisper for you when you started making all these changes that kind of guide you? Is it God? Is it a higher power? Is it you putting your feet in the grass? What do you do to get centered and make your decisions?
I walk.
Okay. Yeah.
I walk, and mostly I don't listen to anything. On occasion I do, but mostly I have to walk for long enough to where my head clears. And sometimes that takes a little while.
Sure.
Until I'm intentionally being unintentional about what I'm hearing and just letting my voice, speak. Because I think it took me so long to listen to me.
Yeah.
That it still takes me a minute sometimes to get back in line with me and yeah.
You're a walker, I'm a runner.
Oh, I'm not a runner, no.
Yeah, I can't believe that I still am. But I have to clean the canvas because sometimes I think what I'm building or painting or designing is a beautiful Monet, and I find out it's like I just did a paint by number.
Yeah.
So, oh my God. So,
it's funny.
all this information, because I feel like sometimes you and I are kind of on a parallel journey. We've had to kind of tear some things down, and we've remodeled some things that make it work for us today, that we're able to be honest with ourselves, honest with the fans, honest with people that love us. I'm a diehard recovering codependent, big time. And learning to love myself has been one of the biggest gifts that I've ever been able to accomplish. And I don't do it perfect every day, but I do love myself in my town, in my house that I built. So, if you were to go back to that 16-year-old and have all the knowledge that you have now, I know you'd give her a hug.
Yeah.
But how would that conversation start?
It's so funny. All I can think about right now is learning to love yourself.
Oh, yes.
Is the greatest love of all.
Woo, baby, sing it.
And that came out right around when I was 15, 16 years old. I didn't understand that then. That's why, Whitney was a big part of my vocal training, if you will. And that song was lost on me at 15 years old. And so now to go back, and I wasn't like touchy-feely. I didn't, there wasn't a lot of physical touch and affection in my house. Not because there wasn't a lot of love. It's just, it wasn't who we were. We were like reserved.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I couldn't be more different of a person today. And so I think for my 16-year-old self, to be able to tell her that it's okay to need that. like literal physical touch is one of my love languages, and I would never have thought that it was in the past.
Interesting.
And
wow.
and again, listening to my own voice. Like I talk a lot about finding your voice, and I don't necessarily think that your voice is something that's always lost or that you didn't have and you have to go look for it. I think it's always there. We're born with it, and it resides in us. But we have to open the door and plug in the mic and
and build a room
and speak. Like learn how to use it is
I think your voice grows as you grow.
I think so too. And I feel really, really bad and sorry for people who choose to not listen, choose to not grow, not evolve into it, and learning how to allow themselves to hear themselves. That sounds so woo-woo and weird.
No, I got it though. Yeah, there is give yourself permission.
Yeah.
To be heard.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. I think a lot of people, if they can learn anything from this conversation today, that it's okay to have a voice. But I also believe with all my heart that voice has to feel safe. And there is always an audience for you. If it's one person, there is someone that you can talk to out there and be heard, so that you can move forward. I don't like to think anyone can ever has to be so stuck. We're special cases sometimes because we get to do our job is music and telling the truth through music and helping people.
Yeah. I've often thought that if this wasn't my job, I would never have grown because I had this built-in opportunity to process out loud.
Built-in opportunity.
And
oh my gosh, I love that so much. We have a built-in opportunity. We have to tune into it.
Yeah. Yes.
I love that so much. Yeah, you just taught me, girl.
I told you it'd be accidental.
You just taught me. So I want to talk about the new album.
Yes, please.
Together We Can. Out now.
Yes.
And you have so many friends on this album. Okay, I'm just going to say start. Tell me about Together We Can.
Okay, so I said earlier that a lot of the people that I chose to be a part of this album, they have really been influences for me, vocally, personally, from a faith perspective, wisdom, friendship, all of it. I'm an independent artist. I can do whatever I want. So I chose to do a project with people I love that are maybe a little bit unexpected. It's not everybody on the project isn't like the big name person that you should sing with this person. I didn't ask my fans, who do you want me to sing with? Because I already knew who they would say. And I was going to choose differently. So I chose people who, first and foremost, I really like as humans. Secondly, I love to listen to. And thirdly, who I respect as artists, vocalists, creatives. So a couple of the people, as I had mentioned before, that there were some artists that spoke into me and said, oh my gosh, I've been listening to you since, this time, and you influenced me. That was like, I don't want to say a shock, but it was such a boost and it was such fuel for my heart. I
was going to say, how did it make you feel? You just answered that. Such a boost and yeah.
Yes, it fueled my creativity. So one of those people was Tori Kelly.
Yes.
You are one of those people.
Thank you.
Eden Espinoza and Camila Marshall and Teron Brooks, all three Broadway veterans.
Yes.
And they have been such incredible encouragers and supporters. So it's been a beautiful journey to collaborate vocally with people. I've never done it before. I've had lots of duets out, but I've never done a record full of them.
I feel like you came home to...
yes.
To maybe an artist that was in another room you didn't know about.
Yeah. It feels very... almost mentory, but not because I'm not mentoring you. Do you know what I am saying?
Are you sure?
I don't think so.
I think you might be.
but it feels very maybe, and I can say this because I'm 52. I'm a grandmother. And I love saying that to people because I know that I don't look like a granny.
Right.
And so I love kind of surprising people with that news. But that being said, I am a grandmother. Like, I am the matriarch of a family. And that's what I feel like on this project. I feel like I'm this matriarch. And this has been a long time coming, this project. And I am being empowered as I am empowering everybody who is a part of this project. So the whole title, Together We Can, I mean, there's a song called that on the record,
Right.
and it was born out of the 2020, the year of chaos, the political crazy that was that time frame, the riots, the racial injustice, the LGBTQ plus equality issues we were dealing with that year. All of the things
The
in
noise.
the world that were happening. And in that
negativeness.
moment, I just didn't know how to respond and what to do. And I wrote this song for it. And so the first people I called were Tehran, Camila, and Eden, because I knew they had to sing on this song as
Together
part
We
of
Can.
it. So yeah, so the whole record reflects that theme, that mentality of us doing things together.
The first thing I heard was when I came in to sing on Everybody Hurts.
Yes.
The first thing I heard, first thing out of your mouth, the day is long, when the day is long, was a different sound. It was a different, it was womanly, it was girlish, it was full of wisdom from the first note. And I was like, oh, I'm about to put on my running shoes.
Yeah.
I got to keep up with this woman because she is telling, she's preaching, she's singing, she's teaching us some lessons here. And you may not feel that way because you were making a record that mattered. And it matters. There's just so much beauty in it.
Thank you.
But I've been wanting to ask you this because it's a song that we got to sing together.
Yes.
What made you choose Everybody Hurts?
I'm so glad you asked. So that was a song that everybody knew in the 90s. It was done by REM, Michael Stipe at the time. It wasn't like my go-to vibe of music necessarily, but there was always something about that song that I don't know, I felt a deep connection to it somehow. Now, back then, because I was in a more conservative space from a faith standpoint, I didn't feel that it was appropriate to necessarily allow it to resonate so deeply because it wasn't a Christian song.
Oh, wow.
So, for whatever reason, it's not a song I've listened to probably in 20 years.
Right.
But for whatever reason, I knew I wanted you to sing on the record. I don't know why that song came to me other than it was just supposed to. And as I really, Googled the words and printed them out and started listening to it and arranging it and figuring out what I wanted it to sound like and reading these words, I just thought, this is where I became sort of speechless with it because the reality is I found myself having a couple conversations with people about pain and life and circumstances. I have been through my own devastating life circumstances with my mother has Alzheimer's. My dad is a stroke survivor, debilitating stroke. Obviously, I've gone through divorce. I've experienced the death of my best friend's children. Like, there's some really big, heavy things. I haven't had a spouse that's died. I haven't lost a child. There are things that are bigger and more painful that I haven't gone through, that other people have. But the reality is that our pain in general really is relative. And my experiences, my pain matters. And it's valid. And it hurts me in the same way that your pain and the things that you've struggled with and dealt with and gone through hurt you, which is equally as valid. And that realization should, in theory, make us have so much grace for each other. And it should make us, Ty.
You're about to make me cry.
I'm sorry.
We can cry. This is my show. We can cry all we want.
It makes us realize that we are all, maybe not in the exact same boat. Maybe we're not all dealing with the same things, but we're all dealing with something.
Yes.
And that should make us want desperately to hold on to each other and say, me too, even though it's different, me too. And I'm here and I want you to hold on. I need to hold on and I need something to hold on to.
Yeah.
And you do too, so hold on to me. And so when those words come throughout the song, hold on, hold on, hold on, I don't know, I felt those words in that song. And of course, our arrangement I love so much because it feels so hopeful to me.
It is hopeful.
And I don't know, it feels very important. And
I'm going to tell you a little story right now because we're just kind of off the cuff and talking about life, and I love that, which are pivotal moments. But as everyone knows now, I went through a devastating relapse after 18 years and almost wasn't on this planet. And so walking into the studio that day to sing this song with you, I didn't know the emotions that I would have. And what you don't know is that, because I'm in the other room, I had to literally turn around and walk over and just take some really deep breaths because I hadn't listened to this song in such a long time. And it was a healing moment for me because I knew it was going to go out there and help a lot of people. And I didn't want to put that kind of pressure on you when you're making the record, but now I can say it to you.
yes.
For me in my house, in my town, that was a big deal to me. And I loved singing it with you. And folks,
so
please go
glad.
check it out. Everybody Hurts, Crystal Lewis and Tyrone Herndon here. And we got to sing that together. And knowing your heart today.
Oh, well, I was standing in your house and you told me the depths of your story that I didn't know before. And this was before we recorded.
Right.
I'm pretty sure.
It was.
Right? I think it was last summer.
Yes.
And I wept. I don't know if you remember. I just sobbed
Yes. I do remember.
in your living room because I knew what song we were recording and I wasn't as deeply familiar with it yet either. I just knew that's the song I wanted. But in that moment, I thought, oh my gosh, how weird that this is why. Like this happened and now this is going to happen. And just to see that play out on purpose, they're not as a mistake or an accident or a coincidence, but like this beautiful
Creation.
weaving of
Yes.
something together.
And we're not
It's
often
incredible.
in control of that stuff. I think, I think great people come together with great people, hurt people find hurt people, happy people hang with happy people. But sometimes it gets all mixed up. And these moments are created that change you.
Yeah.
And that's what the show is all about, pivotal moments in your life, turning down the negative, turning up the positive, and
Love it.
changing your landscape, changing your ending. And if anything, this conversation today, for me, has been about music that has really healed and changed. I know for my new record, Jacob, and your amazing album, there are babies and they're out there on the planet right now helping people, and we got to be the vessel for that.
And they helped us as they were being made.
You get out of my head, Crystal Lewis.
Like that's
Yes.
what people I think don't understand is that when you put yourself in this position to be creative and
Yes.
create something that's inevitably going to help someone else, you're doing it for yourself first.
You're doing it for
And
yourself. Yes.
yeah.
It is. You are the vessel for it, and it pours through us, and and it filters us, and it is such healing. So I'm going to ask you this, this little, and thank you, Pivotal Moments, the company that does the show with me. They're all such great people, and for creating Soundboard for moments like this for you guys to experience our experiences. And if there was a mantra or a saying that you could leave people with today, Crystal Lewis, what would that be?
So easy. Everything is already okay.
Woo! It's already happening.
Heard it on a walk. I was already divorced, but a lot of details hadn't been wrapped up yet, and I was scared, hurting a little bit financially and other ways, and just like wondering and just kind of chomping at the bit, like, this has got to happen. This has got to happen. Nothing can be okay unless, X, Y, and Z gets crossed off and these things happen. And I was on a walk, just taking deep breaths and just like trying to filter everything out and just listen to the birds. And that's what I heard. Everything's already okay.
Everything's already okay, guys. Everything is already okay.
And that sounds simple, and it's not, but it's true. It's true.
My grandmother always said the truest things are the simple things.
Oh, see, and I'm a grandmother.
Yes,
Hey.
I love that. So, odes to grandmas out there. Thank you, Crystal Lewis, for sharing your heart and your music, and just for all that you do. It's already happening.
Call Tyrone. Call him.
yeah.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Soundboard. I'm Ty Herndon, reminding you to turn down the negative and turn up the positive on the soundboards of your own life.